Interesting. 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 Salutations, people. Salutations. This says we currently have 8 people. 8 of our normal, I don't know, say maybe about 100, sometimes 150 that typically listen on this Tuesday. 8 people, now 11, have joined us this Tuesday. And that's cool because we've definitely done shows with just one person, and I can work with this. To be honest, I kind of prefer smaller groups. Yeah, it's a huge responsibility getting up over here and talking to all kinds of people all the time. So whenever it's like a small collection of people, I prefer it. I got, what is this? This is Shade 2. Cabrillo bringing us in. I will put the link for that in the episode description bar if you guys want to check it out. Salutations, and thank you for being here. It's Tuesday, which means it's Instagram Crew Day, Instagram Live Day. We actually shouldn't be here. Yesterday, they said that we were banned from being able to share, from being able to go live. So I'm actually surprised that we're even actually able to do the show. So that's kind of cool, if you ask me. I had planned initially to go ahead and go live on our primary podcast page, Factions of Freedom, but after testing the waters, I saw that we were able to go live here. And I don't know if it was me being habituated to going live over here, that I didn't want to go live over there, but I just think it's interesting that these things happen. You know, just last week, we were talking about the necessity of having to have alternative platforms, right? Having to have different places to put the work. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and see if I can paste that right there, which leads me to our patreon.com/Freedom Faction exclusive members page. And the reason I put that there is not only to plug a way for you guys to support us, but to also understand that if in the event that we do get taken down, I'm not going to sit up over here feverishly, begging Instagram for, bullshit back. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, all right, cool. What did I learn from this situation, and what can I improve on in the future? So while this becomes a great resource for everybody else, I think people really need to understand that at a certain level, this is becoming counterproductive to operate in this fashion. So for me, I don't know, I look at it as a way to restructure, to reform. The same way the country is going through like a socio-economic, socio-political reformation. They take the page down. What the hell do they think is going to happen? You get me? I'll say this real quick one more time too, and then I'll fly through some of the list of topics I want to talk to you guys about. Literally, it was just last week I was telling you guys that we need to have alternative platforms to operate off of. We diversify the information because you guys deserve it. And then this week they're like, hey, we're going to delete your account if you tell them that Lucifrase is this enzyme that Bill Gates is creating. We're going to delete you if you start providing alternative cures. And we'll talk about that. But we shouldn't really be surprised about these types of things. At the end of the day, we really shouldn't. If anything, we should expect them. And so for us to not preempt these things and think about the alternative and work in that alternative, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. So, that's kind of how it works. I see people over here saying Parler is a nice platform. They reached out to us. We may operate over there as well. We have all kinds. There's all kinds of different things, from Minds to Vero to Holanis to now, Billy Carson's Unite the 99. We've also, again, thought about creating our own platform for this situation. So, I could get up over here and tell you, oh, I'm stressing. Oh, I'm worried. Oh, gosh, they're coming to get me, the Men in Black or the government or, the Illuminati or the Zionists. I could get up over here and, freak the hell out and get a couple views and, do a bunch of nonsense, but that's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to explain why we're all going through these things. You get me? So that's what I got. Some posts got deleted. They threatened the account. If in the event that the account gets banned, for the people that have been actually paying attention to what we're doing, you're kind of keyed in, you're kind of aware that we're working on this. For everybody else that's on the surface level, the superficial level of, oh my God, freaking out because they just saw it, it is what it is. We've been censored before it even became like commonplace, man. That's why I trip out. We're covering Jade Helm 15, running around the country, filming all kinds of military equipment being transferred all over the place, looking for military training exercises and things like that. We've been censored since our inception. It's just something that you work through. You don't sit up over here and make a big deal about it. You innovate, you advance, you evolve. You don't contract in the face of adversity, you expand. You get me? So I hope you guys are able to take a little bit of my approach towards this in your own life. If you get hit with some hurdles, don't freak out and cry and start complaining and tripping. You're going to waste time. Get your mind situated on the goal and get back at it. So that's what I got. If you guys want to support this operation, think about becoming a Patreon exclusive member, patreon.com/Freedom Faction. We are figuring out different ways to, as I said before, diversify the information because you guys deserve it. Speaking of which is a great way for me to lead into what I want to talk about. This past Friday, basically this whole weekend, I got like giddy, almost like a childlike sense of innocence and giddiness reading the book of Jeremiah. I did it with exclusive members this past Friday. I read book 1, 2, and I tried to get through 3, but I ended up like reading it like an article and just getting like progressively like more giddy, trying to like explain how the Green New Deal is there, the paganism is there, the trading of gods is there. And I'll read a little bit of this. But the reason I wanted to start this transmission with the book of Jeremiah is because people are very worried about the coronavirus. People are scared of what's going on. I feel like we should use our platform to give people some of that spiritual knowledge, man. Some of the things that I'm resonating on all the time. I wake up reading my devotional. This is something I thought about doing with you guys, getting you, yourself, the Instagram crew, and the Instagram story, 2 separate things, their own devotionals. I'm always reading from mine, but getting you guys your own devotional. Every time I get up over here, I can read it to you to give you just a little bit of that spiritual nourishment, man, because I think people are looking for knowledge, information, and news and stuff like that, conspiracies. We can do that as well. But I also feel like we should use our platform for, again, just that spiritual nourishment, man. I get pissed having to talk about all these political things. I'm not going to lie to you. If I can shut up and work through these topics, when we get to the Secret Space Program, aka the Space Force, I'll talk about how I didn't intend to do any of this political nonsense. I fell into it. I fell into this looking for the UFOs and the ghosts. We now call that the Space Force and the invisible terrestrial entities of the first and second kind. So with that being said, let me get into this article. I was going to say let me get into this article. Let me read from the book of Jeremiah, and we'll start. I just want to read a little bit of chapter 2, a couple verses, because it talks about Israel's suffering the result of sin. And I just, again, got so giddy talking about it, because what we're talking about is how we think we can escape judgment, dude. Like, we have a very, and I've been talking to people all about it this weekend. We're so woke, we think there is no God. You get me? We think we can escape judgment. We think we can do all these things without consequences, without anything happening to us. And that's a very foolish and ignorant mindset. So when we read a little bit of this, you see how people forgetting God, turning their back on God, not their face. And if I can, I'll get into that clarification. Turning their back on God and thinking like, hey, look, there is no God. I'm not going to face any judgment. I'm just going to live a mortal life. So let me read a little bit of this, and I'll try to continue there. We're reading from chapter 2, and we're just going to start from the first verse. It says, "Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Go and cry in the hearing of Jerusalem, saying, Thus the Lord says, I remember you, the kindness of your youth, the love of your betrothal, when we went after me in the wilderness, in a land not sown. Israel was holiness to the Lord. The first fruits of his increase. All that devour him will offend. Disaster will come upon them, says the Lord. Hear the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Thus says the Lord. What injustice have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me? Have they followed idols? Have they become idolaters? Neither did they say, Where is the Lord? Who brought us up out of the land of Egypt? Who led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and pits, through a land of drought and the shadow of the death, through a land that no one crossed and where no one dwelt? I brought you into a bountiful country to eat its fruits and its goodness. But when you entered, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. The priest did not say, where is the Lord? And those who handled the law did not know me. The rulers also transgressed against me. The prophets prophesied by Baal and walked after things that do not profit. Now, I'm going to stop right there. We're at verse 8. We're going to get into verse 9. And already, do you get that right there? Idolaters, bro. Following idols. I sit up over here and legitimately get frustrated with the celebritism and the celebrity worship that you see us at today. Well, what was it? With One World Together, right? You got Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and Jimmy Fallon. You got all these Hollywood scumbags coming together to preach this whole narrative. Again, have we followed idols? Have we become idolaters? It says it right here, bro. The rulers also transgressed against me. They don't talk about God. We don't know about any of these things. You see? Prophesied by Paul. We talk about that all the time. Abortion, the cremation of care, the satanic ritual abuse, the child sex trafficking, all these different things and more. You get me? We're just over here at the first 8. Let me finish on, because there's a part here. There's a part here where it explains it perfectly. It's like right here at verse 11, where it talks about my people have changed their glory for what does not profit. And I mean that because we're no longer the home of the brave, or the land of the free, home of the brave. We're the land of the sleep, home of the slaves. You get me? But here, let me finish up. Let me continue. And we're over here at verse 9. It says, therefore, I will yet bring charges against you, says the Lord, and against your children's children I will bring charges. For pass beyond the coast of Cyprus and see, send to Kedar and consider diligently, and see if there has been such a thing. Right here it says, has a nation changed its gods, which are not gods? But my people have changed their glory for what does not profit. Be astonished, O heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be very desolate, says the Lord, for my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and honed themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Let me stop right there, because we're just at 9 to 13, and it's talking about how, again, just the idea of changing gods. Where's our mindset at? What do we believe in? People don't know. Like last year, I'm over here ranting about a suicide spirit, something telling people, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. You scumbag, what are you doing? Kill yourself. Climate change, there's no purpose in life anymore. Kill yourself. And now we call it coronavirus. You see how that works? But again, where have we changed our mindset? We don't have a spirit of courage. We embrace a spirit of fear. We wear the masks. I was going to start this transmission with I have a pumpkin spooky mask for Halloween, and I was going to wear that and say, I'm ready to go outside. Because that's where we're at now. We don't have a spirit of courage. We're being mask shamed. We're being guilt shamed, guilt tripped into going into things. You get me? That's not a God of glory. That's not a God of courage. That's not a living God. That's a slave mentality. You get me? And it says that, like literally, right here. That's why I stopped. Because verse 14 of chapter 2 says, is Israel a servant? Are you a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he plundered? The two young lions roared at him and growled. They made his lands waste. His cities are burned without inhabitant. Also the people of Noph and Tophons have broken the crown of your head. Have you not brought this on yourself? Did we not bring this on ourselves? Not fighting back, going along with the compliance, thinking, hey, no, well, 2 weeks is cool. I like an extended spring break. Oh, what? You're going to give me money not to work? All right, I see where this is going. Well, yeah, shame on those people for going outside, right? Because we're all heroes, right? Hashtag stay at home. You see what I'm saying? We've changed our glory. We no longer seek after courage. That slave-like mentality. Do you see why I'm saying I just got like a almost childlike glee breaking this down with the exclusive members? having this type of biblical breakdown, this type of analysis, you get me? Because we're not over here seeing this stuff in the news. We're not talking about the spirit, the psycho-spiritual configuration of man right now. I said it all weekend with people. What happened right now, because we're in that weird middle ground, we all went through a form of trauma-based mind control. We said, good Lord, we will do whatever it takes to get back to normal. And now we've entered into this strange new normal where we have no rights, but that's the way they configured it. Let me read a little bit more of this. It says, have you not brought this on yourself, in that you have forsaken the Lord your God, when he led you in the way, and now that you take the road to Egypt to drink the waters of Seor? Or why take the road to Assyria to drink the waters of the river? Your own wickedness will correct you, and your backslidings will rebuke you. Know therefore, and see that it is an evil and bitter thing, that you have forsaken the Lord your God, and the fear of me, God, is not in you, says the Lord God of hosts. For of old I have broken your yoke and burst your bonds, and you said, nah, I'm not going to transgress. When on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down, playing the harlot. Yet I had planted you a noble vine, a seed of the highest quality. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of an alien vine? You get me? Noble. That's all I'm trying to say. Good Lord, I want to be righteous. I want to be happy. I want to be wholesome. I want to be decent. I don't want to be some scumbag. You get me? I don't want to be some degenerate dirtbag. I want to be something good. I want, I don't know, shucks, I guess I'm an asshole. I want something good. But the world these days, and that's what it's talking about right here, when you turn your back on God, the world these days has you turning into a wicked, degenerate, evil alien vine. You come from a righteous place, you come from God, you come from your parents, you come from some place that is holy. But when we embrace this world, especially the times right now, all we're literally doing is turning ourselves into wicked pieces of garbage, my friends. I couldn't sit up over, like the very fact that I'm up over here after getting censored, exposing Bill Gates' involvement creating an enzyme named Elucifrase, the very fact that I'm sitting over here reading to you a Bible verse, and it can be ascribed to today, shows you of where we're at. People are so busy, and that's what I'm saying. We're so woke these days, we don't believe there's God. We don't believe in these things. You think, oh, no, yeah, for sure. Oh, the Bible is written by men. Yes, for sure. Divinely inspired texts. The same way I sit up over here and try to break down whatever the heck is happening to me, to you guys. I wish to God somebody would transcribe some of what I said and take the gems out. Would this not still be truth? Veritas that could be explained to the world. This thing right here, this trans-dimensional, trans-temporal thing that is just like transcended everything, it's talking about what's going on in so many different varying ways. But because, again, we want to be ignorant, we want to live in denial, we want to be scared, we want to put our heads up our ass, we don't seek the truth. This is what I talked to you guys about just last week, how people don't love the truth. They don't seek after the truth. They don't care to know the truth. It scares them. Let me just try to, I think we're only going to make it through chapter 2 because I have these topics here and I want to play some videos for you guys, but we're literally only in chapter 2. Let me see if I can make my way through this. And then we'll move on to some of these topics like HR 6666, because again, good Lord, how much more obvious can it be? But we're over here, verse 21. Yet I had planted you a noble vine, a seed of the highest quality. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of an alien vine? For though you wash yourself with lye and use much soap, yet your iniquity is marked before me, says the Lord God. It's like, don't matter how much you want to clean yourself, get as much toilet paper as you want, put the hand sanitizer on, it doesn't matter. Your stench of sin, I can smell it. I can smell it. It's all over the place. Sure, for sure. Clean yourself, you dirty, wicked son of a gun. I can still smell you. That's why the blood is still on your hands, you get me? But people don't understand this level of spiritual awareness. The depths of communicating like that, you get me? Continuing on, it says, how can you say I am not polluted? How have I not gone after the balls? Baals. Baal, like the, Baal, the god. See your way in the valley. Know what you have done. You are a swift dromedary breaking loose in her ways, a wild donkey used to the wilderness that sniffs at the wind in her desire. In her time of mating, who can turn her away? All those who seek her will not weary themselves. In her month, they will find her. Withhold your foot from being unshod and your throat from thirst. But you said, there is no hope. No, for I have loved aliens, and after them I will go. And this next part is very important. Very, very important. If you guys join the exclusive member, you guys will hear me talk about in depth how this particular verse, it talks about the human nature. And I'll just read it and pick it up from there. It says, as the thief is ashamed when he is found out, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They and their kings and their princes and their priests and their prophets, saying to a tree that you are my father, and to a stone that you gave birth to me. For they have turned their back and not their face. But in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us. But where are your gods that you have made for yourselves? Let them arise, if they can save you in your time of trouble. For according to the number of your cities are your gods, O Judah. One of the reasons I got so hung up on that is because we already see this climate change narrative coming out. Protect Earth, humans are bad, anti-human agenda. Saying that it's basically the evolutionary theory right here, knowing full well that we do come from a divine source, that we do come from God, but trying to create our own myth of creation, so to speak. It's the old thing of worshiping creation, not the creator. Saying to a tree that you are a father and to a stone that you gave birth to me. That's embracing that delusion. That's why it says turning your back, not your face. Think about it. I was at a barbecue just the other day. I hope I don't get contact traced. I was at a barbecue the other day and I was explaining this verse to somebody. There were people behind us at the barbecue. I turned my back, not my face, because I'm turning my back trying to have a conversation with this individual. My face cannot ignore the fact that these people are behind me, but my posture can. My choices can. My face does not lie, you see. So when people say that there is no God, it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to simply just believe. You get me? When they say that a tree gave birth to me and that my father is the stone, that's them openly embracing that delusion, knowing full well that they have a divinely inspired creation, that nothing has changed since, but they're choosing to go after the delusion. Become an exclusive member. Hear me break that down in a little bit more depth because it tripped me out. It tripped me out going on the rant, so much so that it made me want to break into this exclusive or this Instagram live talking about it. But continuing on, I'll try to get through it, guys. It says, "Why will you plead with me? You have all transgressed against me, says the Lord. In vain I have chastised your children. They receive no correction. Your sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of the Lord. Have I been a wilderness to Israel, or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we are lords, we will come to you, or we will come no more to you? Can a virgin forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. Why do you beautify your way to seek love? Therefore you have also taught the wicked woman your ways. Also on your skirts is found the blood of the lives of the poor innocent. I have not found it by secret search, but plainly on all these things. Yet you say, because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead my case against you, because you say I have not sinned. Why do you gad about so much change your way? Also you shall be ashamed of Egypt, as you were ashamed of Assyria. Indeed, you will go forth from him with your hands on your head, for the Lord has rejected your trusted allies, and you will not prosper by them." Yeah, I wanted to read chapter 2 because there's a lot of things just in that chapter alone that really breaks down kind of where things are at. Again, Israel sins upon the land. People not understanding that you're going to receive judgment. There are these things called consequences. You can't just go through life having a lifestyle like this, thinking you can, kill babies, blaspheme God, hate your parents, not get back to your community, not be like a decent person, just be like a scumbag, atheistic, nihilistic. You know, you can't live a life like that. And so I wanted to start this transmission off reading that. I don't know how much time we took up going over it, but it's important to note to note these things, right? Why are we freaking out so much about not only the politics, but the mind space of people? This is something we discuss on the show all the time. The evolution of warfare, right? That we know it's no longer just bang, bang, shoot 'em up. It's also psychological warfare, biological warfare that we're experiencing now with coronavirus. Eventually, it will be financial warfare. We're experiencing some of that now. There's been a number of suicides, child sex abuse, domestic violence, a lot of very strange things that have happened simply because of the financial warfare that is being waged on us. You get me? So when people don't think about these things, they don't get centered, they don't care, right? Well, the damage is going to be twice as bad. So reading that just kind of told me that, look, they're dealing with these things thousands of years ago. This isn't just, because we've got smartphones, we're experiencing this. It doesn't work like that. This is history. It rhymes. It's cyclical. We're talking about human nature and more. I'll say this and start getting into the modern day topics with you guys. This is one of the reasons why they have just gotten rid of Christianity and the Bible in China as a whole. This is why we reported on it as it took place. Because and we saw this with the Hong Kong protests. They were trying to fight back against the communist government there. We are at a point in history to where government thinks it can supersede God, to where it can control everything. If people don't understand recognizing their individual sovereignty and more, we're going to give over our power to this totalitarian government. And it starts with things like this, understanding why we have to dial back from the hysteria and begin to reclaim like our individual sovereignty. So, yeah, a lot of crazy things going on in this world of ours. Now I'm going to play for you guys real quick a clip. I think I played it for you last time. It was of Greg Reese from InfoWars talking about HR 6666 and the ability to contact trace. You get me? Literally disappearing people. Just go ahead and call it what it is. Setting up the infrastructure to disappear your ass in the name of public safety. Let's take a listen.
The World Health Organization recommended forcibly removing family members from their homes and putting them in quarantine.
Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Queen Elizabeth seemed to be echoing this idea to the UK.
It reminds me of the very first broadcast I made in 1940, helped by my sister. We as children spoke from here at Windsor to children who had been evacuated from their homes and sent away for their own safety. Today, once again, many will feel a painful sense of separation from their loved ones. But now as then, we know deep down that it is the right thing to do.
Bill Gates has been pushing the idea of tracking people with digital tattoos, and Microsoft was recently granted patent number 060606 for a cryptocurrency surveillance system connected to the human body. Now enter HR 6666 to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units and, as necessary, at individuals' residences and for other purposes. On May 1st of 2020, Illinois Congressman Bobby Rush introduced H.R. 6666. This act is essentially setting up a nationwide contact tracing and quarantine program run by Big Pharma. Section 2, COVID-19 testing and contact tracing using mobile health units, will allow Bill Gates loyalist Alex Azar and the CDC to fund eligible entities to conduct tests, trace and monitor the contacts of infected individuals, and to support the quarantine of these contacts via mobile health units. Who are the eligible entities qualified to receive this funding? health centers, nonprofit organizations, high schools, and anyone else that Alex Azar deems eligible. The amount of taxpayer dollars being asked for to trace the public and force quarantines is $100 billion for 2020 alone, and whatever may be necessary as long as the emergency period continues. For Infowars.com, this is Greg Reese.
There you go. So, what we need to talk about whenever it comes to HR 6666 is how do we basically not get contact traced? How do we not get taken out of our houses? This is something I'm still working on. I wish I could come up and tell you guys, hey, I have the answer. Here's the form. You just got to tell them, get rid of this, get this person out of here. You have your rights, this, that, and the third. But what you have to understand is we're underneath a state of emergency, a national health emergency. No one's really even talking about what FEMA's doing over here at this wing. But whenever it comes to contact tracing and more, we're essentially talking about turning our nation to spies. 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks or so ago, you had Bill Clinton working with California Governor Gavin Newsom as well as New York Governor Andrew Cuomo talking about coming up with the contact force or the contact tracing force, the trace force. The idea was then I'm still trying to figure out the proper way to say this, but let's just keep it 1,000. You have former presidents working with current political figures to come up with a breakaway operating system to take people away from from their homes. It's a directive straight up coming down from the UN. That's why this is getting crazy, because we're seeing such a schism not only with government but with corporations, with geopolitics, and more. We are left wondering, where are our rights? Where are our rights? And I wish I could tell you guys, like, hey, these are our rights. This is what I know. That's not the case. Every day, I guess I'm literally trying to figure out more and more ways to get your rights back, or at least to start having that conversation about what happens, man. I mean, good Lord. I remember just the other week, there was that couple in Canada. They got forcibly removed from their house because they did not agree with contact tracing and more, and they didn't resist. It wasn't like they were causing problems. They were in their house, and then you had police walk inside these people's houses and say, hey, look, we're gonna have to bring you down to the station for investigation to do like a mental health check. It's like, first off, who placed that phone call? Secondly, how do these people have that ability to do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be some type of legal framework in order for us to say, hey, no, this is illegal. You can't do this. And the fact that you have jackboots of the state that are willing to just go ahead and carry this out, that's dangerous too. They're going to get shot in the face. They're going to get shot. They're going to get injured. That's not going to go well. You see what I'm saying? So is that why Trump activated the military in order for them to go out and carry this out? I don't know, man. But what's going to happen is very dangerous. Like I'm trying to tell you, they're setting up the infrastructure for martial law, for tyranny, for this and more. You already see them talking about the second wave. You already hear them setting up that whole infrastructure, right? The second wave comes through now, when the second wave comes through, they're going to have more power to be able to disappear. They're going to have that social pressure aspect to where you have all the virtue signalers, right, wearing their masks, saying, disappear them. I'm in fear. Like I think a better way, I think a better way to explain it is with the anti-vaccination movement, right? The anti-vaccination and the vaccine agenda, where you have all kinds of people that are pro-vaccine saying, by not having a vaccine, you are risking me, or you are endangering me. The very same argument's going to be applied with this. By not having a vaccine, you are endangering me. This is why you already have people like Joy Behar, Hillary Clinton saying these lockdown protesters, these armed lockdown protesters, they're terrorists. Because of the satanic inversion that's going on right now, they have to project, they have to invert, they have to say, okay, let's take the narrative and flip it in our favor. You get me? I want to play for you guys real quick. This happened just the other day. This is Donald Trump coming out and talking about Project Warp Speed. This trips me the hell out. I'll go ahead and say it. And before I play for you guys a clip, this is why I'm telling you that I'm looking into the works of people like Jerry Day and more. on how to come up with a proper way to say no to vaccines, how to come up with a protocol, and more. I mean, I have a graphic that I could pull up here for you guys, but for the sake of time, I'm going to play the video instead. There are a lot of people trying to figure out ways to get you the information, get you the protocols, get you the steps that you need. I mean, again, if you join exclusive members, and I don't want to sound like I'm not being able to be fully transparent with the information, just the other day for the exclusive members, I sent them an article that had forms, PDFs, interviews, references, and more to get them out of the case, just in case, to get them out of the situation, just in case somebody tried to force a vaccine on them. It didn't have all kinds of vaccine exemption forms, but if in the event that it happened, they could put these things up there. So I'm not saying I'm being selective with the information, but I'm trying to figure out different ways to present this information to the public as a whole. And having things like Donald Trump come out and saying, we're going to take this over, the military's going to take it over, that shifts the approach dramatically. So let me play this clip for you guys, and then we'll continue on after that.
Today, I want to update you on the next stage of this momentous medical initiative. It's called Operation Warp Speed. That means big and it means fast. A massive scientific, industrial, and logistical endeavor, unlike anything our country has seen since the Manhattan Project. You really could say that nobody's seen anything like we're doing, whether it's ventilators or testing. Nobody's seen anything like we're doing now within our country since the Second World War. Incredible. Its objective is to finish developing and then to manufacture and distribute a proven coronavirus vaccine as fast as possible. Again, we'd love to see if we could do it prior to the end of the year. We think we're going to have some very good results coming out very quickly. In addition, it will continue accelerating the development of diagnostics and breakthrough therapies. The Great National Project will bring together the best of American industry and innovation, the full resources of the United States government, and the excellence and precision of the United States military. We have the military totally involved. We're also working very strongly with other countries who are also have some great scientists, doctors, and we're all working very closely together, and they're viewing us as the leader, and we are the relationship with other countries on solving this problem has been incredible. To date, Operation Warp Speed has brought together all of the experts across the federal government from places like the NIH, CDC, FDA, and many other agencies. This historic partnership will now bring together the full resources of the Department of Health and Human Services with the Department of Defense, and we know what that means. That means the full power and strength of the military, and that really talking about the logistics. If we get it, when we get it, that means the logistics, getting it out so that everybody can take it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching.
Get out of here, Chris Hayes. Don't nobody give a shit about you, bruh. Anyway, so there you go. You have people saying that during that speech, and it's not in that clip, but in that speech, he talks about vaccine and no vaccine, we're back. A reporter asked him a question of, hey, what happens if everybody can people get this shot? People don't want this shot. People are trying to use that little mini clip of him saying, hey, look, vaccine or no vaccine, you're not going to have to get it. They're trying to use that to defend. If Trump doesn't come out directly and say, hey, you're not going to have to take these shots, I'm not going to agree with it. I already personally don't agree with it. I have a history of being in direct opposition of every single thing that Bill Gates does. We have a history of having Christy Scarborough of Corrupt Vaccines and her lawyer, T. Matthew Phillips of the Vaccine Abolition Society, talking about how to fight back not only against Facebook for censorship, that was something else we talked about, but creating an infrastructure to have an open debate about medical tyranny, medical freedom, abolishing vaccines, and having the right to having rights. Good Lord. Like, we're at that point. We have to vocalize and fight for the very rights that they're taking. I mean, good Lord, it's your own body. Yet they're trying to forcibly inoculate you with things, forcibly inject things into your body, and telling you that you better go along with this. Do you understand how dangerous that is? Real quick, check this out. I got an article from the Drudge Report feed. We put this up yesterday, May 18th. It says LAPD wants to give you rapid results virus tests to everyone it arrests. So I'll read a little bit of this. And I think everybody already understands where this is going, or kind of have that question of, well, are the test kits contaminated? Does LAPD have this right? Let me read a little bit of this. It says the Los Angeles Police Department wants to give a rapid results test to everyone its officers arrest to check for the coronavirus, and is pushing city officials to secure the equipment to do so. Los Angeles Police Chief Michael Moore told the police department's civilian oversight body that he asked City Hall to secure a rapid result testing system capable of determining within 15 minutes whether people are infected with the coronavirus. Such systems exist, though their accuracy has been questioned. Right now, jails are testing all new arrivals, but results take days to come back. Moore said the delayed results give the department a, quote, backwards look at exposure, but the rapid result testing would provide real-time data that could help the department isolate sick detainees, keep others incarcerated in local jails safely, and quickly alert officers to any potential exposure, Moore said. The need for such equipment, I'm not going to read all that. I'm not going to read all that no more, but you get the point. They want to be able to have your data and your DNA. Like, good Lord, this is terrifying to me. The fact that people can't see the forces at work saying, give us your blood, give us your DNA. We want to know everything about you. Where did you go? Who did you talk to? The fact that people are embracing this trips me out. You see, this is that virtue signaling mindset. Like, the other day, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I should have just got off the news feeds. I saw something from Fox News talking about all TikTokers embracing the wipe down challenge. And so I just laughed reading over the article, because just the other month, right, TikTokers were running around licking ice cream, licking toilet seats, this, that, and the third. This week, they're being told, hey, wipe things down. And I just couldn't help but think in my mind, TikTokers are going to be the contact tracers. They're going to make it cute somehow to say, look, I'm doing my part. I got my tests. I care. Somebody in the comments says Stockholm effect. Yeah, that's the point behind losing your mind. You get me? That's the whole point behind social distancing, to isolate you, to get you into this anti-human mindset, to where they just break you down to a point to where you're like, I will take whatever it takes to get back to normal. The best people to do that are the TikTokers, who are looking for that new stimuli. But let me get back to here, because I'm getting worked up like I like to. LAPD giving you rapid results testing. A couple months ago, we were figuring out that the test kits that were being sent to us were contaminated. How do we know that these are not contaminated? But it's crazy. The fact that you've got the organization, again, of a NGO, of a non-governmental organization running around trying to contact you and get your information, get your data, and more, that's crazy. That's a surveillance state. That's 1984. That's COVID, 1984. So before I continue on with the topics, I'm not sure how much time we have, but I want to make a quick pivot in reference to some of the recent guests that we had on, and guests that we've had on in the past, right? We recently had on Dr. Stephanie Grutz. She talked about UV light therapy, IV in vitro or IV therapy, right? Light exposure, immune boosting therapies with IV treatments and things like that. Last year we had on Rob of Truth and Vibration, and we talked. It was either last year or the year before last, and we talked about suppressed technologies. And in that episode, and in future talks all the time, we talk about how our mindsets are not configured to embrace alternative technologies and advanced technologies. And back then, it didn't make sense, because it's just like, yeah, for sure, like, people are stupid. Nobody wants light technology. Nobody wants anti-gravitics. Nobody wants healthy herbal extracts, organic and holistic things. Nobody wants that. But back then, a year ago or the year before last, I couldn't think about that. Fast forward to where we're at now, right? Shout out to Rob of Truth and Vibration. People are begging, and Stephanie Grutz, people are begging for those alternative therapies. They're begging for those advanced therapies, alternative therapies, and more. People are realizing that the system we're on, it's promoting death science. We reported on it last year. Over 50% of Americans are on 2 pharmaceuticals or more. And then we found out what? This year, that over 80% of our pharmaceuticals come from China. We're being poisoned. So this year, we're learning the necessity of seeking after the new, wanting something different, not going along to getting along. But how could that have happened unless this stuff got exposed? So I had that revelation this past weekend that we had to clamor for new technologies. We had to beg for alternatives. That's how this works. We had to create the narrative for those alternative technologies because we have the life extension for sure. We have the advanced technologies, but are we talking about those things? Are we making them aware to the public? You see, think about what happens. We post about hydroxychloroquine, things like super cheap versus Dr. Fauci's Remdesivir or whatever the hell it is. It's thousands of dollars. You get me? We're not talking about sunlight, UV light. We're not talking about alternative therapies because we can't. We're being censored. We're being misinformed. But because we're not, again, begging and clamoring for that advanced therapy, for those alternative technologies, it's not in our life. And that's why we have to have these discussions. That's why we have to have the guests on. And that's why we have to push for these things. You see, again, and I said this with the exclusive members, I wanted to come up over here and just pull out my array of pills, of nutraceuticals, of vitamins, nutraceuticals, and supplements that I take like every day or every alternating day to show you guys. I'm not bullcrapping you. When I get up over here and get sweaty, I just get done running like 7 miles and then get fired up to come talk to you guys every day. But you see, that's what I'm talking about. The system that a lot of people are clamoring for is death science. This shit'll kill you. We don't have a lot of people over here looking towards life, wanting more. You get me? And that's how that works. It is just crazy to see all these things go down. Because I mean, good Lord, you got Merck, you got Pfizer, you got Johnson & Johnson, you've got now Moderna, GlaxoSmithKline, you've got Big Pharma basically taking over our government, and people literally can't see what the heck's going on. You get me? And you've got such a monopoly on Google and information that you look for alternative cures. It takes you to the form of a vaccine. You have to think about these things. And I talked about this whenever all this stuff started breaking down. Towards the end of 2019, Facebook began removing information about vaccines, vaccine safety, and more. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to see all these things go down. Shucks. So yeah, I just want to put a bow on that. Exposing leads to changing. We had to get to a point to where we saw what our choices are, what the default choices are of the system that we're in. We had to see these choices, realize what they're doing is trying to kill us, just for us to get to a point to beg for something different. And I'm not speaking up for Trump. I'm not standing up for him. Maybe that's why he says, hey, vaccine or no vaccine, if you want it, take it. If not, whatever. But we have to be able to recognize people's individual freedom, right? Recognize their sovereignty and recognize that they have rights. Just because you're the military or the government don't mean shit. You're not going to be able to come up over here and eject me. Don't talk legalese with me sitting up over here trying to screw me over. Anyway, let's get back to this. The coronavirus crisis, contact tracing, the FDA blocking Bill Gates. I want to really get into that because that plays a huge part in, again, the advanced therapies, the alternative healing, and more. That's a huge deal. Huge deal. I'm very glad to see, too, that around the entire world, over 62 different countries are calling for investigations into the World Health Organization and the origins of the coronavirus. But I'm also glad to see that every time people see Bill Gates' face, they want to just cram an ice pick into his eye. I'm very glad to see that. I know that's some violent stuff. We try to stay away from that. But it's good to see this kind of unity exposing this level of tyranny. But here, let me read a little bit of this, and then I'll get into things. Coronavirus testing program funded by Bill Gates is suspended by the FDA. This is by Nima Harris. They put this up May 14th. It comes from the News Punch, and it says the organizers of a virus tracking project funded by Bill Gates says their efforts are being paused while they deal with concerns raised by the FDA. The FDA has ordered SCAN, the Seattle Coronavirus Assessment Network, to stop screening for the virus. putting the program that has been providing hundreds of home testing kits each day on pause. The scan suspension comes just a day after Bill Gates praised the effort in his personal blog. He likes to stroke his ego. He wrote, quote, "It has the potential to become the most important tool for health officials seeking insights about the spread and the behavior of the virus." RT reports that as of Wednesday, however, all links to the project's website redirect to a notice stating its operations are quote, currently paused due to a conflict with the FDA. I'm going to pause right there because you know, like I called this out. I called this out. You have a billionaire essentially running around, a private citizen saying, hey, take my test kits, give me your DNA. Bill Gates sending Seattleites test kits saying, hey, oh, you want to know about the coronavirus? I'm Bill Gates. I'm located in your backyard. Give me your DNA and I'll take care of you. How dangerous is that? Bill Gates is he's a computer scientist. Who gave this man the right to run around and begin to collect people's DNA and information as if he is government? You get me? So yeah, the FDA had to come in and stop that. They're like, the hell are you doing? The fuck are you doing? The hell gives you the right to sit up over here and collect private citizens' data? But he had to get up on his page talking about, oh, this would be the best way for you guys to figure out about the coronavirus. I'm trying to help you. But again, you see, you have to understand these people, the same way that you have Hillary Clinton coming out saying that this is a great opportunity, we shouldn't let this crisis go to waste. Bill Gates is like, you're right. I shouldn't let this crisis go to waste. Let me step down from Microsoft and begin to collect people's DNA. and it sounds ridiculous, but this is the truth. This is the truth. So yeah, the FDA had to put a stop to a almost comic book level supervillain's attempt to collect private citizens' data and to begin to test on them. Because you got to ask the next logical question: what would Bill Gates do with that data? He's not GlaxoSmithKline. He's not Pfizer or Pfizer. He's not Merck. He's not AstraZeneca. He's not Johnson & Johnson. Or is he? Regardless, this man should not be conducting these types of things. You get me? Let me read a little bit more of this. It says, quote, SCAN has been operating under an emergency use authorization from the Washington State Department of Health, the notice says, adding that while the FDA has allowed states to approve new COVID-19 tests, we have been notified that under revised guidance issued on May 8th, a separate federal EUA is now required to continue testing. The FDA has requested additional information about scans at-home nasal swabs and seek clarification on the project's testing of, quote, people who have not reported COVID-like illness. While the notice offered no timetable for when testing might go back online, it noted that SCAN is, quote, actively working to address the FDA's concerns and has been in contact with the agency since March. It's like, even though they're shut down, they're going to try to figure out a way to privately acquire people's DNA, privately acquire people's tissue, man. Like, it is what it is. That's why he's like, okay, so we're not doing it your way? How can we still operate and do it your way? We want to still be able to contact people and get their information the same way that you have police departments doing the contact tracing now. This is nuts. This is just kind of crazy to see as a whole. But what I'm trying to lay out to you guys is you have to understand that not only is Bill Gates a supervillain, but they're creating the framework for complete corporate control. And I was talking about this weekend at the barbecue. I was like, why? Like, what's the point, right? Because over 1,440 CEOs left their post from 2019 going into 2020. Bill Gates was one of those CEOs. Why did he step down from Microsoft? Does he have more power as a civilian than he does as a CEO? Does he? You see what I'm saying? By stepping down, is he less restricted? Is that why we're seeing him now do all of these things? Because as a private citizen, he can do all of this. I don't know. And I think that's why I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. This supervillain running around being kicked out of at least 10 different countries, inoculating people. My God, I mean, he has literally used Africa as a testing ground. And I said this, it's gotten to a point now, you know the old saying, don't shit where you eat, right? Bill Gates is trying to shit where he eats. He's gone around the entire world doing this, from India to Africa to Europe. He's now coming to America to pull his crap. And you see how Americans are responding to this. So, the same way that I'm saying exposing leads to changing, I think that we've got to see all these things come out. Bill Gates, the World Health Organization, the CDC, the funding, the powers behind them, right? Dr. Anthony Fauci, his ties to gain-of-function research and legal government research being conducted in China. I think all this stuff has to get out and exposed in order for us to change, in order for something different to come through. That's my hope. That's my analysis. That's my thought. But I can't make any guarantees, you see, which leads me to my next little topic thing. There's a deep state civil war that's happening for what I would call upward integration and power consolidation. We talk about it all the time. You know, I think that's like in a weird way, I'm talking about the socio-political reformation in a lot of different ways. The socio-economic and the socio-political reformation. The paradigm shift, as New Agers call it, right? The post-industrial world, the fourth industrial revolution, right? How would that play out? How's that going to happen? Well, let's just say, I'll say this. I think this is a good way for me to kind of explain some of this, because I wanted to talk about the secret space program and the Space Force, but I don't think we have time. I started this week off with a phone call from somebody connected, and they called me saying, hey, EJ, so-and-so family member passed away. And I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. The timer just popped down. I'll try to fly through this. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. What happened? He says, you know, my family member, prominent scientist, well-to-do, involved in NASA, part of the Orion project, all these different types of things, credentials out the yin yang, very, very, very sophisticated, kills himself. In different times, that would warrant at least a story. But going on to talk more and more with this individual, we begin to break down things like the Space Force, right? NASA, Elon Musk. This individual had contact to Elon Musk. And I said, so-and-so, what you're basically breaking down to me, what you're telling me, this information, it kind of surmises to make me think that your family member didn't go along with what they're about to do next. He got killed, and this is just my assumption, that he got killed for not going along with whatever they're about to deploy. If he's a part of the old guard, you see this new guard already coming. What were they talking about? So, dude did not kill himself, you're correct. Retrace his life up to his final moment, see who he was in contact with, what was going on, and I'm sure you'll get the answers that you need. So I wanted to talk about that during the Secret Space program, but we got 35 seconds. There's a lot of things going on in this world, and we're trying to do everything we can to provide you guys with the answers. So when I say you that we're diversifying the information because you guys deserve it, censorship is what we've had to deal with, this is the work. This is why you guys have to support us so we can continue to be here. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have your calls and more. I want to say thank you guys for joining us. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, guys and gals, stay vigilant. Expose lies and share truth. This is Noisera, Freedom Faction, out.